There are 4 set relationships: equivalent, disjoint, overlapping, and subset. Equivalent means that the sets have the exact same elements. Think of equal. Disjoint sets do not have any elements in common, so they are entirely different. Overlapping sets have some things in common, but here's the important part. They have some elements in common, and each set has something that the other set does not. And that is what differentiates it from equivalent and also from our final relationship, subset. Subset is when one set can be found inside the other, or when the contents of one set can be found inside the other. So the subset fits inside the superset. So if you think about the subset, that then fits inside the bigger superset. So based on these definitions, we will practice differentiating between them. Let's try to visualize this pictorially. Which one of these represents equivalence? Which one represents a subset? Which represents overlapping? And which one represents disjoint? Number 1 is disjoint, because set C and B have nothing in common. Number 2 represents a subset. G is a subset of F, and notice that this is a new symbol. That means subset. So that means all the elements of G you could also find inside of F. In number 3, Q and D are overlapping. There are some things they have in common, but there's also some space right here that D has some things that Q doesn't have, and here Q has some things that D does not have. And finally, number 4 is an example of equivalence or equivalent sets. Let's think about the relationship between these 4 sets. Coming up next will be set operations, where we can actually combine certain sets. So how could we combine 2 sets? Well, we could either find where they overlap, and in other words, what their intersection is, or we could really sort of take their sum or take the union of them, which is kind of like adding them all together and adding all the parts or all the elements. And that's what's coming up next.